it's fascinating what Nancy Pelosi is doing. Some of the arguments are is that there's chaos. I don't think there is. I think, in fact, it's possible that this was the point all along, that they knew they would lose control of this when going to the Senate. They had no intention of caring about the nature of what the Constitution required. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened in the first place.
Yes, I mean, to claim that we have to rush through this with almost no evidence, no direct witnesses of anything, because the president is a risk to national security, a threat to the republic, is now belied by her stopping the process and hanging on to the articles. I do think she had a couple of things in mind. First of all, she wanted the articles before the first of the year to damage the president in an election year. I think that'll backfire. And second of all, I think she wants to influence the Senate trial, even though under Article 1, Section 3 of the Constitution, she has no power or authority over it whatsoever. She's actually trying to engage in a quid pro quo. I'll send the articles to you only if I approve of the process that you design. She's doing exactly what she's falsely accusing the president of in a quid pro quo.
Yeah, obviously, as I noted, Congressman, no shame. They know. I think what they've underestimated here is the American people's reaction to this. It is a sham. It is, but it's more than a fraud. They're doing things that deliberately damage the republic. To say this about the President of the United States when monumental things are happening around the world and his foreign policy is affected because of the way he might be viewed. And yet you are in a position where this need to rush because of the urgency affected the ability of some of the things you were able to accomplish in the House.
Not having real fact witnesses. And I made a request, and Doug Collins had a long list that we had talked about of fact witnesses, and we were told we don't have time for that. Well, the rules, they're in the majority. They could change the rules. They didn't. The rules were allow for a minority witness day, but we couldn't even have the minority witness day because time was of the essence. We had to move on. We had to get this to the Senate. I don't think she had thought this through as well as some people think. She really didn't want to get to this point 9 months ago, and now she's been pushed into it.
You know, Greg, some are saying that, in fact, she will fold. I think, of course, she would have to, because what she's doing is effectively unconstitutional. But is it perhaps also, because they've been looking at focus groups and polling through this, like which word to use to accuse him of, are they perhaps just waiting to see if any of this is still affecting people? I think it is likely. I think we're seeing the numbers opposing impeachment going up.
I think she's hoping that it will affect people, even though I think the longer she holds on to the articles, the less likely that is, and there'll be a bigger boomerang effect. The other thing is, I frankly think she just kind of hopes that some magical evidence will drop out of the sky, like witches in a witch hunt, which don't really exist.
Or, in fact, what we saw, what started this, maybe another phone call from another anonymous whistleblower, which would require more investigation. It's a waste of money, certainly, but the overall dynamic, Congressman, is one that tells the people of this country that we've got a Congress that is, not doing its own job, is trying to still undo or stop a duly elected president. And ironically, of course, that's why Trump's president, because we knew something was wrong with Congress and the swamp. So we were putting him in there to clean this up. In a way, it's inevitable that this is occurring because we were correct in 2016.
Exactly. And the Trump derangement syndrome has caused so many that were part of the deep state that we really didn't have identified to pop their heads up and go,
exactly.
Here we go. And I think in the days ahead, we'll be able to eliminate those so that President Trump will have more cooperation within his own administration.
Now, Pelosi, Greg, is arguing that Mitch McConnell has made it clear he's not going to be fair. Suddenly, they want all those things that, well, they know that they weren't being fair. Now they're afraid, like most, leftists and those who project do, are afraid of the same thing happening. They want fairness. They want witnesses. They want all those same things. But at the same time, this is clearly a political action. That's what impeachment is.
Sure.
McConnell has absolutely no obligation to even look at this sham that has been provided to them as even serious. That's one of my concerns, is this argument that, and I think they're relying on the process, that the process would make them seem legitimate, whereas, in fact, McConnell has every right to be serious about how he looks at this.
Of course.
And if he's for crying out loud, he's a member of the same party.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it ironic, if not hypocritical, of Nancy Pelosi to demand due process in the Senate that she approves, while she denied due process and fundamental fairness in the House procedures over which she was in charge?